Evening, everybody. It's Carpo. Yeah, stepped outside to enjoy this beautiful evening, and I know I can't share it with you because the camera, there's no point. Uh, it's too dark to film, so I'm just kind of shining it general direction. Microphone facing me. Got a cup of coffee. It's pretty tasty. It's I just wanted to really share this interesting. I watched a documentary last night, and unfortunately, I went back. I watched it on Netflix, and I went back and I could not find the title. I will find it, and I'll try to post it in the description. It might have had something in the title. It had to do with demons. It had the title, and then it said one man's a man who sees angels and demons and whatnot. And my first thought was, oh no, another guy who thinks thinks that there's demonic entities, and not that I don't believe that there are evil entities or spirits. That's not my right to say. But I was under the impression that perhaps he misinterpreted what he was seeing. But I figured I'd give it a chance, and I watched it, and it was a great documentary. He was a guy about my age, in his 30s, and a few years back, he started seeing strange things. And he's been fighting it. Basically, he didn't want it. He said, I don't know what this is. He's seeing entities, spirits, forms. He was trying to explain it to the people, but, it's one of those things you can't really explain. So he claims that he was telling a story about how one time he was in his room, and he saw these three lights of, these beams of light come in, and he, at the end of one of them was like a motorcycle, and he realized it was because his friend was going to crash, or did crash on a motorcycle, and, he started realizing that these were symbolic, that this were real, and he would see figures standing behind people. When they started the documentary, I was kind of skeptical, because he was a Christian, and I thought that maybe he... not because he was a Christian. I was skeptical because I thought that maybe this wouldn't go anywhere, because he had a certain viewpoint that wouldn't allow him to see past what it really could be, what he could really be seeing. In other words, a lot of times when Christians have events like this happen, they tend to believe that they're demonic entities or evil spirits or whatnot. Well, the guy was curious about it, so he went to see some people during this documentary, and he went all over the place. He went to these gurus and spiritual teachers. He went to, he actually went on a vision quest, a Native American vision quest up here near Seattle. And did it all proper, and had all these, I make little bags of tobacco, and you put them all around the perimeter, and you stay there till you have a vision. And the most amazing thing that he said when he came back from that vision quest, I don't know how many days it was, but when he came out of that forest, the thing he said, it just really got me. He said, he just had this look on his face, and they were driving back, and he says, he says, I can't really explain it, but he said, I realized, he said, the only vision that he could, talk about was this one where he said he saw all these pillars, and all these pillars were all pointing up in the same direction, and he was trying his best to describe a hallucination, which I know what that's like, but he said all these pillars were pointing up, and each one was symbolic of a different religion, and he realized that they were all pointing in the same direction, and there was like some sort of a tent on top, and then the whole thing crumbled, and he realized that religion would crumble. And he went through this whole thing where he just totally metamorphosized, from his Christian upbringing into seeing this thing, beyond reality. The most amazing thing about it was when they went into this guy who he does a special form of photography, and it's like they have you meditate, sit in a room, and they film you with many different kinds of cameras. They have infrared cameras and microwave, radiation detectors, all kinds of shit. And the idea is that we only see in a little spectrum. And most, anybody who's looked into this realizes how small of a spectrum we actually see. I mean, there's a world going on around us that other animals can see that we have no clue about. Magnetic fields and energy lines and stuff, and other entities and spirits and energy forms. I mean, it's become kind of, even though I've never seen these things myself, there's enough evidence to support it to where I believe pretty firmly that there are many different forms of energies and dimensional entities. So, anyway, they filmed him and had him point to anything he saw in the room, any anomalies or anything. And sure enough, when they analyzed the footage, long story short, they confirmed what he had seen. And to him, that was a confirmation of, oh my God, this is real. And it was sad because his girlfriend thought he was crazy, basically was like, she's like, I don't know if you really see it. I mean, the obvious thing is if a guy says he's seeing demons and angels and entities, you're going to think he's probably nuts, not you. I mean, but the average person in their family is going to think maybe something's wrong with them. And not a lot of people are open to this kind of stuff, I know a lot of people that I talk to are, but not a lot of the general population are exposed to this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of ignorance. And I think it's just fascinating. I think it's really cool that these things are coming out because, I'm a skeptic by nature. I find it's important to me to be a skeptic about everything. But, when I compare not just I'm not a science-based person either. I don't just believe what the science tells me. I use my common sense, and I have my own logos for life. The logos of reality. It's what you make it, and I'm hoping that one day I'll get a glimpse of these other dimensions. I feel like I've seen them with psychedelics, but never on just a normal day. I've caught small glimpses, but nothing really deep and heavy like that. I don't know if I want to. I started thinking about it, and I'm like, there's a reason why we as humans have limited mental capacity, because we could drive ourselves completely insane if we could see these entities, if we could see people's auras. I mean, it would completely change how everything's done. I don't know if we're ready for something like that, but there are fields that are invisible. And I don't know. I'd recommend that documentary. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Namaste. Have a great night.